Welcome to another episode of Ask Anthony this Tuesday, 21st of May 2019. Hope you are enjoying life wherever you are, wherever you're watching this. Today's episode, Adrian, what are we talking about? Why emotions destroy wealth. Very interesting topic, okay, and one that all wealth creators must understand, okay. Emotions destroy wealth, okay. If you look at anyone that's created sustainable wealth over a long period of time, you'll find that these people have very good control over their emotions, okay? They're able to remove emotion out of the equation and the decision-making process by actually putting systems and criteria in place, right? Because these guys have worked out one thing, right? That when emotions are high, right, intelligence is very low, okay? So when feelings are high, you know, it's almost using the wrong part of your brain when it comes to creating wealth, okay? The best way to take emotion out of wealth creation is basically to have a system in place that keeps your emotions out, okay? So then you look at financial planning and wealth creation logically as opposed to emotionally, okay? Have a system or some fixed criteria in place when it comes to creating wealth, okay? Now, the best way to do this is to knowledge yourself up and skill yourself up in that particular area of wealth creation or in all areas of wealth creation and take the right level of responsibility when it comes to making money. Because the more you do this, the more certainty and the more you know, the more knowingness you have, and then you can actually trust yourself to make decisions fast, okay? Because in the absence of skill and knowledge, you will have uncertainty. Okay, you won't trust yourself, okay? And the minute that you're having those conversations with yourself, your emotions kick in, okay? So generally speaking, the longer it takes somebody to make a decision, the more that decision will be made on emotion. Because if you think about it, right? If you're able to look at something and analyze something, right? And you can just see it for what it is, for a set of criteria or a system that you've got in place, you don't need to do any thinking. Does it tick these boxes? Yes or no? If it does, great, you move forward. If it doesn't, you don't. But people say, oh, let me think about it. And when you're thinking about it, what do you think you're doing? Right? Thinking is basically where all your feelings are, okay? Where all your emotions are, right? You then look for things that are no longer logical, okay? You're making decisions based on not what you see in front of you, but what you have at the back of you, okay, based on past experiences and, you know, a belief system and so forth, and you get taken out of the logical way of making decisions and you're thrown into the emotional way of making decisions. So you've got to put a system or a fixed set of criteria in place, right, that takes over, you know, so you're not having conversations with yourself like, oh, I don't feel like doing this today, I don't think I'm ready, I'm worried about what could happen. I mean, you know, perfect example here in Australia, right? If you're an Australian watching this video, we just had the federal election, right? And this past weekend, irrespective of if you're comfortable with who the winner was, what government won or not, is not the point of this conversation, right? But the point I'm trying to make here is, leading up to this election over the last 6, say 12 months, people just sat on their hands and their backsides and did nothing. Okay, why? Fear, emotion, right? The smart money, the guys that understand this and use intelligence and use logic to make decisions, they made a fortune over the last 6, 12 months, okay? They took advantage of everybody else being in fear, you know, that were anxious and, you know, didn't know what to do and were waiting to see the outcome of the election. Most people were waiting to see the outcome of the election without really knowing what the outcome, how the outcome was going to affect them. They just went along with the rest of the people and the rest of the narrative on social media and the news, and let's just wait until the election's over. You know, here's the thing too, man. That like the smart money, right? The guys that are trained themselves to think with logic as opposed to emotion, they never listen to the media and news other than to take advantage of what's being said in the news and in the media. Think about that, okay? They listen to the news and the media and then they go out and they take advantage basically of everybody being in fear or worry, not uncertainty, and the big players take advantage of the rest of the market when they're in fear and in uncertainty, okay? Because they're making decisions with logic, okay? So, emotions are something that cause us to actually spend more as a way to deal with what we have going on inside of us, okay? So if we've all done this, right? You have an argument with someone, or you don't feel good about yourself, and you go out and you spend unnecessarily to help you feel better or take away whatever it is that you're going through, okay? Wrong thing to do, okay? It may make you feel good for that period of time. You've gone out on a spending spree to take away those feelings of fear or anxiety or depression or whatever it is that you're looking to overcome. Going out and spending is not the way to handle that stuff, okay? Because if you're going to have to spend every time that stuff comes up, you're going to have no money, okay? So have a look at the beliefs also that you have on money and how you approach money, because the way that a lot of people approach money is through feelings of guilt, anger, fear, lust, anxiety, grief, worry, stress. These are all states of existence, by the way, that have most of the time nothing to do with the situation one's going through. But your belief system around money and wealth creation that you saw when you were growing up, what you witnessed, what you observed, what you heard, what was ingrained in you, whether you know it or not, is basically at the forefront of every decision you make right now with relation to money, and pretty much controls your financial destiny unless you choose to do something about it, all right? So you need to understand that when it comes to building wealth, emotion is the last thing you want to have driving the decision-making process. In fact, if that's the only thing driving it, if that's the thing driving your decision-making process, get out, because it won't end well, okay? Let me give you examples of this, right? When people are out there, let's look at real estate, right? Because we're in the game of real estate here and finance and wealth creation, right? When people go out and look at real estate, most people are looking at the colors, they're looking at the painting, they're looking at the house, the size of the rooms, whether there's carpet in the bedrooms or there's, floorboards in the dining rooms. They're not actually falling in love with the deal, they're falling in love with the property, right? The minute that you have to go out and touch and feel something, that's your emotions talking, okay? And I always say to people, don't fall in love with the property. Fall in love with the deal. Fall in love with the numbers. That's the most important thing. Property itself, and why you're seduced by all these amazing marketing campaigns and stuff you see on the weekend in the papers about these beautiful homes. They're designed to get your emotions in, right? So you show up at the auction and you pay more. And that's another thing, by the way. The worst way to buy property is at an auction. Okay. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with auctions outside of Australia, it's basically where you show up to buy property with a whole bunch of other people, and the highest bidder for the piece of real estate gets the piece of real estate. Now, if you think about this, right, what happens at an auction? Okay, most people, first of all, it's a theatre, right? It's people are all going there, pushing each other's buttons, right? They're in fear, they're nervous, right? The people that are selling the property are nervous it's not going to sell for the price they want. The people buying the property are always thinking they're going to pay more than what it's worth, right? So it's something that's always basically done with emotion, okay? That is the worst way to buy property is an auction, okay? It's either somebody's going to be pushing your buttons or you're going to be pushing somebody else's buttons. And most of the time, you will always pay more for something at an auction. Okay, not all the time. Most of the time, you'll always pay more. Okay, if you're an investor and you're doing your decision-making criteria based on numbers and logic, right? You only need one person in the auction to get all emotional about it. I've got to have this property because it's in the same street that I grew up in as a kid, and my daughter needs to be near that school. He's going to pay more for it. Okay. Now, if you're silly and your ego takes over, you're going to get baited with this guy, and both of you are going to start paying more than what the property's worth because you want to be heroes and you want your ego to win. Okay. Another example of when emotions are high, intelligence is very, very, very low. So the worst place to buy real estate is at an auction, okay? Best time to usually buy real estate is after the auction, okay? When it's you and the auctioneer and maybe one other party, okay? That's when you can actually start to get what you want because you've removed the emotion out, okay? Better still, get access to real estate through Wealth for Life where you're not dealing with any of this stuff, okay? You purely buy stuff based on numbers, okay? We're a numbers organization, okay? Our job is to make you profit, is to make you wealthy, okay? It's not to make you feel good, okay? You want to go feel good, I don't know, geez, go watch a movie or something, right? You've got to fall in love with the numbers. The numbers have got to make sense, okay? The deal's got to make sense. Now, I'm not saying that, you should buy trash either, right? But it shouldn't be what drives your decision. Sure, you've got to buy property that's aesthetically beautiful and ticks all the boxes and it's in a great location and is in good condition. I'm not saying you don't do that. But if you're an investor, understand the rules for investing. Your number one criteria is to create wealth, is to make money, okay? Nothing should ever supersede that, okay? So yes, there's other criteria you need to have in play, right, obviously, but if you're not making money, who cares about the carpet? Who cares about the laundry? My wife and I used to go shopping for property back in the day when we were renovating a ton of property. And I'd be approaching property and my wife would say, oh my God, I don't like this property. The grass is too high. It smells like piss. Everything's falling apart. And I'd be sitting there going, fantastic. I can make money off this, right? People are going to think like my wife. They're not going to want to buy it. I can get in there, pick it up at a bargain, add value to it through a renovation, bang, pull my money back out and go again. I create the profit based on other people looking at it emotionally, okay? So, and one of the things I now do, I don't even go look at any of the property that I buy, okay? I'm pretty good at handling my emotions when it comes to a real estate transaction, but I just got to look at the numbers, okay? So if I get a deal presented to me, or we get plenty of deals coming our way all the time, I just look at the numbers. If the numbers make sense, if the numbers stack up, I know where the property is, I know what it looks like, I know its location, I know the criteria I use, but I just look at the numbers, and if the numbers excite me, then I'll look at the rest of the stuff. But if the numbers don't work, I don't even bother, okay? And the last thing I really want to do is go out and have a look at the property, because then I've got to start touching it and feeling it, and I don't want any emotion to come into play when it comes to building wealth, okay? So fall in love with the deal, fall in love with the numbers, not the property itself, okay? Because property really is just nothing else. It's just there to play with your emotions, okay? And stay away from auctions. Another really good example of this is Apple, the company Apple, right? Apple are really, really good at selling to your emotions, okay? Because logically speaking, there are much better phones than this phone, okay? If you're looking at it for its technical aspect, there are much, much better phones than this. And the great thing about Apple too, they don't bullshit you either. They'll tell you Apple have never advertised themselves as being the best computer, the best laptop, the best software, the best phone. They never say that, okay? So, but they're amazing at actually getting you hooked in to this iPhone, okay? Because of the image it creates, and the image of having the iPhone, the way it makes you, the purchaser, feel to walk around with a brand new iPhone, right? That feeling you get of having your iPhone, they've understood that, and they play to that. Because think about it, right? Do you think that everybody September, every year in September, October, something like that, Apple bring out their new iPhone, right? Do you really think that everyone's phone just crashed and broke just before that? Of course not. People upgrade every year, right? That's emotion. They're buying on emotion because they want to feel a certain way. Apple understand this better than any other company, and they play on that, and we get sucked in. So we go upgrade our phone, change our plans, either throw our phone out or downgrade it to a family and friend or trade it in because of the feeling we get from the iPhone, okay? So, people generally buy on emotion and then they try and justify it with logic, if you have a look at any purchase that you've made, it's emotionally based, whether it be clothing, garments, shoes, anything like that. It's all emotionally based because of the way it makes you feel, the way it makes you look, right? And then you justify it with logic. Oh, I needed a pair of those jeans because the other ones were we're getting old, or I need another. I need my 30th pair of shoes in the closet, in the cupboard, because 29 just it was an odd number, and we needed to have an even number in the cupboard, right? So it's all that kind of stuff that takes place, right? You see a pair of shoes, you buy them. It's got nothing at all to do with logic, okay? You fall in love with them, you buy it, right? Now, the key is to understand that, okay, and know what the hell is going on, all right? But when it comes to wealth creation, you can't have that take over. You can't have that get involved, okay? And some of the most important things you do need to understand too, where all this comes from, is your current belief system, okay? Have a look at your belief around creating wealth, okay? This is the most important thing, because where you are right now financially, right, is nothing more, right, than the relationship that you have with money and the belief system you have around wealth and money, okay? The key is to change your belief system and not people or the people around you, right? So some of the questions I asked myself a long time ago, and you guys probably need to ask yourself, is this: how do you feel about wealthy people, right? How do you actually feel about them? Do you despise them? Do you make derogatory comments around wealthy people? If someone has money, how do they make you feel? All right? Do you talk behind their back when they leave? Do you put them down? Do you automatically assume they stole the money? They got it in unscrupulous ways, that it was handed down to them, and that if you have money, you're not a good person. You must be a thief. You must be someone that's untrustworthy. Because how can you ever be wealthy if that's how you view wealthy people? Think about that. You're basically saying to yourself, I want to become someone I despise. That's never going to happen. Okay? So you've got you've got a belief system that wealthy people are no good. You have no hope in the world of becoming wealthy. I once saw, not long ago actually, down here in the office, I met with a guy, and he was telling me about a friend we have in common, how we didn't like him very much because all he did was think about business and money and creating wealth. And I said, dude, this guy is very, very powerful, very, very wealthy, and here you are coming to see me about creating wealth. Okay? You need to understand your belief system around wealth, okay? And if wealthy people make you feel uncomfortable, trust me, you're never going to accumulate wealth. Why? Because wealth will make you feel uncomfortable, okay? So have a look at what your relationship is with wealthy people and how you view wealthy people, okay? Or rich people or people with a lot of money, okay? What I'd be doing is getting to know them, studying them, modeling them, appreciating them, flowing gratitude and affinity to these people. Because if you don't, you're going to struggle to become one of them, okay? Because what you like about others, you like about yourself, okay? And what you dislike about others, you also dislike about yourself. So if you look at somebody and you find a flaw in their character, I promise you, you have that same flaw, okay? Very hard for a lot of people to admit this, but if all you see in people is, where you don't trust someone, or you feel like they're always, they're angry, or they're always in apathy or grief, believe me, you have that same emotion running through you, okay? So whatever you see in others, you see it, you have it as well. So learn to see the good in people, and that'll shine through in you as well, okay? So have a look at your belief system around money, all right? Because that'll have a lot to do. That'll actually have a lot to do of your money-making ability moving forward, okay? I don't want to get all philosophical or spiritual here, but I tell you what, when I got my head around this and understood this, everything opened up for me, okay? I started seeing wealthy people, and I started seeing opportunities much, much differently, okay? In the add knowledge and skill, which gives you knowingness and certainty, and you can really park emotion to the side there when it comes to building wealth. I'm not saying emotion is bad, okay? But a lot of people will demonstrate, a certain type of emotion that's not called for in the situation they're in. Okay? If you're analyzing a deal, if you're out here to make money and you're looking to create wealth, all right? You don't need to have any emotion. You just need to be able to analyze numbers and think logically, okay? And go through a systematic process of coming to a decision and doing it fast, okay? The minute that you get sidetracked and distracted from that process, emotion kicks in, okay? And the longer it... See, what I say to all my clients, you want to think about making a decision? Why do you want to think about it? Right? I tell them clearly, the longer you think about it, the more it'll be less about logic and money making and more about emotion. And when they come back, it's always, you know, I feel like, or I think, you know, and it's always based on emotion. It's nothing ever has to do with money. So learn to make decisions fast based on knowledge, skill, right? And being able to trust yourself, because the more that your knowledge and your responsibility and your skill goes up, your ability to trust yourself becomes greater and greater and greater and greater, and then you know what to look for. Because a lot of people actually don't know what to look for, so then they let emotion dictate the outcome. So have a look at how you, as a wealth creator, go about making financial and money decisions. Just have a look at that. Like, not big decisions, but even when it comes to $100, $200, right? You've got $200 in your hands. Have a look at how you feel about that and what decisions you make based on that. Do you go out and spend it unnecessarily, or do you go and invest it, okay? When you're looking at a property deal, okay, whether, you know, have a look at what goes through your mind when you're looking at that property deal. Do you run to the pictures straight away, the marketing materials straight away, or do you look at the numbers, okay? Is your thought process one of logical rationale, or is it irrational based on, oh, I don't like that house because the grass is too high? Really? Or I don't like the colour of the carpet, or the walls need a lick of paint. Whilst those things may be important, they should not be driving your decision-making process, okay? So keep emotions out of any wealth creation formula or strategy that you have. They will always destroy wealth, okay? The message I'll send you guys is that logic creates wealth, emotions destroy wealth, okay? If you remember that, logic creates wealth, emotions destroy wealth, okay? If you take that away with you, I guarantee you the next time you look at a financial transaction or real estate transaction, you'll look at it much, much differently. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Ask Anthony. Love giving you these tips and these insights. I've been doing this for 20 years, okay? I'm the CEO of Wealth for Life, Australian property expert. There's nothing I haven't seen or done when it comes to real estate and finance. I've seen the good, I've seen the bad, I've seen the ugly, okay? And I've seen real ugly, okay? Base your decisions on creating a system, a formula, a set of criteria that has nothing to do with emotion, and you'll do extremely well when it comes to building wealth. Send through any questions you've got, any feedback. We love your feedback, the good, the bad, and the ugly feedback, because we get it all. And I hope you got something out of this episode. We'll see you next Tuesday, the 28th, last Tuesday in May, I believe, leading up to the end of the financial year. Get your money right, guys. In 2019, the federal election in Australia is over. There is no more excuses. There should never have been any excuses. Get your money right this year, okay? Come and have a chat to us, 1300 79 3877 if you're in Australia, or wealthforlife.com.au. We'd love to be able to sit down with you and get your money right in 2019. Thanks, guys.